Thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants are on the run. We've lost them, we don't know where they are, and we certainly can't deport them. So the latest is this. Out of around 5,700 people identified for removal to Rwanda, only 2,145 continue to report to the Home Office and can be located for detention. So what's that then? Around 3,500 have vanished, have they? Yeah, so if we've still got about 100,000 people waiting for their asylum application to be approved or rejected, then by that logic, do we even know where 60% of them are? All that left-wing hoo-ha about how the government has lost a load of asylum seeker children, look, I don't buy it, OK? Yes, some of them will be children, but let's be honest, loads of them will be adults. Now, it was reported in January that about 45% of the 8,766 kids checked by border officials since the start of 2020 turned out to be fully grown adults. Some of them were in their 30s. So this bodes well, doesn't it, for people living in communities like Faversham in Kent, where I visited, where there is set to be an asylum centre for illegal immigrants aged allegedly 16 to 18 who will just be free to roam around. We are not keeping track of these people. Normal people have a right to be worried.
They turn it into a home for illegal immigrants that shouldn't even be in our country, saying that they can't afford to do it up for our elderly. I'm sorry, our elderly come first. And then they're going to put it right next to a school. So we've got to worry about our children, we've got to worry about our little children and our young ladies. Not only that, we've got to worry about our elderly in the community.
But is any wonder when you've got Tweedledee and Tweedledum running the show? I mean, these Chuckle brothers from the Home Office have been torn to shreds by the Home Affairs Select Committee so many times, I'm surprised there's anything left of them.
Where are those people?
In most cases, I don't know where those people are.
I mean, for goodness sake, honestly, this lot, really? Is that the best we've got? Well, the answer's no, isn't it? But is it not time to have a serious conversation about tagging asylum seekers? If the government is going to keep letting them in and making them live in our communities and pay for them, the least they can do is be able to tell us where the heck they are. It's a matter of national security. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. I've got columnist and broadcaster Esther Cracky. I've also got the Deputy Chair of the Tory Party, Jonathan Gullis, and I have got author Amy Nicole-Turner. Esther, I'll start with you on this. You know, if it turns out that we don't know where about 60% of these people we've decided to actually send to Rwanda are, I mean, is it time to maybe start tagging some people, do you think, or not?
Well, I mean, there was an article last year that said that the Home Office couldn't account for 17,000 asylum seekers in the country. And we know that many of them just get lost in the underbelly of British society. Many of them go into the gig economy where they don't have any form of formal employment. Many of them, particularly, it was said for the Albanians that were coming over, just started getting into the illegal drug trade. One of the things that makes it easier for them to do this here in the UK than, say, let's say France or Germany is the fact that we don't have an ID card system in this country. So we actually don't really know who most people are, but particularly in this case, we don't know who these people are. Many of them destroy their documentation upon coming here. When you have local residents saying they're concerned about refugees or asylum seekers staying in hotels, it's because if they commit a crime, there's nothing in the system to even identify them. We don't know their background. If you and I committed a crime, they know our names, they know we went to school, they know where we live. But you have these aliens effectively in the system that can come and go, that we don't know who they are, we don't know what kinds of crimes they committed. Someone like Abdulazidi, for instance, who was rejected twice, his asylum claims still remain in the country. He was a convicted sexual offender, and that's kind of like, people are questioning, how did this even happen? But there are thousands of him in the system in this country now.
And we won't know.
Exactly, we won't know. We don't know where they are, and we're not allowed to say.
We'll find out. We'll find out when something horrific happens. Yeah, we'll find out. Jonathan, tag them.
Well, look, Patrick, first of all, it's important to understand that actually an initial cohort of around 2,000 people have been identified so far who would be eligible to be deported to Rwanda. Those people have been now put on immigration bail, which means they'll have certain conditions as well as detention. And we know that we've increased detention capacity in this country now to 2,200 spaces. Of course, that is still yet to go further. We shut 150 hotels. We already know that Rwanda is acting as the effective deterrent because people, as you interviewed earlier, are on the move to the Republic of Ireland. In fact, Patrick, I think it's very important that Sky News News themselves have reported that, and I quote Yusuf from Somalia, that the people are scared of Rwanda. That's a direct quote that he gave.
Where are the 3,500 people?
So what I think is important to remember here is that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we get this effective deterrent off the ground, and that we're the only party with a plan in Parliament to make sure that we stop the boats. Labour are panicking tonight, as you saw with Yvette Cooper's pointless and wasteless quote, because essentially the only plan they've got is to do a dodgy deal with their buddies in Brussels, which is to take 100,000 plus additional illegal migrants.
How do we find the tens of thousands of the people that are already in Britain that are missing?
So what's important to understand is that, of course, we have increased raids, for example, by about 80% on places that are suspected to be using the illegal black market trade, which some of those people have been falling into, which has seen a major increase in the amount of people, therefore, being detained and being going through the criminal justice system.
Saying, I'm about to send you to Rwanda, you'd leg it as well, wouldn't you?
I think if you gave me £3,000, like a GB News cash giveaway, I might be more inclined to go, like the asylum seeker that went today.
One of the things that's important.
You're going to give each of them £3,000.
The second highest number of illegal migrants that have come on the boats this year have been Vietnamese. Now, it's not outside of the realm of possibility to say that within the week of them landing on British shores, they're probably going to be in nail salons up and down this country. How, are these institutions ever subject to raids? I mean, people don't actually see any kind of effective policing of these individuals. Saying that we've freed up more space is fine, but are there raids on where they're suspected to be living, for example? How do you even identify them?
Is there not a really simple way around this, which would be
tag
taking,
them.
say...
Yes, exactly.
I wouldn't... I think that's... we don't need to tag them.
So you wouldn't tag them? So you wouldn't tag them?
Well, we've got north of £500 million, haven't we, that we've put into the Rwanda scheme. Why don't we take that and put it into asylum decision-makers?
OK, so
we can find out who everyone is.
We've got this question. So let's go with the Labour logic, which is that even though the fact we've actually processed 129,000 people in the last year, which, by the way, is the most in 20 years. But let's go with Labour's logic, that they process people, and let's say they reject them. That person's claimed they're from Iran. Is Labour going to return people to Iran? Are they going to do a returns deal with Iran? So if they don't return people to Iran, where are they going to go? Oh, I know. They'll do what Labour always does, which is an amnesty through the back door, which essentially is a return to free movement of these people stay in this country.
But then those people are legitimate and can contribute to our society.
Hold on. But you're saying that Labour doesn't have a plan to return them. The Tories, as we speak, are approving, I think it's 67% of asylum applications. That's
87, I think, asylum now.
Well, the average is 67, which is more than double that of the EU. So even before we get to the returning them, how about we accept fewer? And here's a novel idea. Stop allowing so many male refugees. Where are the women and children?
So, Esther, there's a very fair challenge, and obviously I'm someone who's raised my concern over the percentages before. What I will say is that the Home Office made it a priority to focus on women and children initially, which is why that number is much higher, because they're the ones that have gone through the claims much quicker, as well as countries such as, for example, Afghanistan, where we've put a lot of energy and focus into making sure particularly those who work with our armed forces are able to get their ability to remain in this country, as they rightly should do, as we accepted with the Rwanda scheme. But I think it's still important to understand that, yes, I'm unhappy and appalled at the fact that, 77% on average are young single men who shouldn't be here in the first place,
because of that,
leaving women and children behind.
And because of that, Amy, do you not think that it is a reasonable expectation of the British taxpayer and the women and children of the local area around these asylum centres or hotels to be able to know where these illegal immigrants are at all times? Should they not be tagged?
I think the priority needs to be finding out who they are and letting them continue
How do you do that if they destroy
with their lives. Because that's why we have asylum decision makers. At the moment, that job is paid about, 20 grand a year.
Psychics.
It's not prioritised.
Hold on, but they're not psychics.
If you have somebody
with the correct
training
if you come off a boat and you have no documentation, I could call you Tom. And you couldn't argue against that. This is fundamental, basics. If someone entered your home, you would think, who are you? We can't even do that in this country. So what is this fixation on pay the people processing them more? We don't know who these people are.
I'm saying train them correctly so they know how to do their job and recruit a lot more. And also, when you mentioned that we prioritised children, the Home Office stopped publishing data on the number of children going missing last October because
Tag them then. There you go.
Children.
Well, wait a second. Alleged children. It's important. Alleged children, Amy.
Yeah, we do that
These are people who claim to be children, are yet to be proven to be children, because we know that smuggling gangs were telling lots of men to claim they were 16 to 18 because it saw an increase in their chances to be able to stay in this country. But because, as Esther was saying, these are people are throwing, openly, publicly advertising, throwing their documentation into the English Channel as they cross.
Can I point out the scale of the lunacy here? I mean, I'll give you an example. Serbia has a visa-free agreement agreement with India. So you have many Indian nationals going through Serbia, coming across on these boats so they can apply for asylum to get home student fees for universities. That's how ludicrous this is. You have people gaming the system so they can pay £9,000 in tuition fees.
But that would be legal migration.
That's not... They're asylum seekers.
They're taking student visas.
They're applying for universities in this country as asylum seekers, which entitles them to pay home fees into the...
So they have legitimate student visas?
No, but they're gaming the system. That's the point.
No, I understand that, but we're not talking about legal migration. We're talking about illegal migration.
So, but the thing is, what do you do with these people? We'll pay the people processing their claims more?
Well, the top 3 nationalities, what were they? Iran, Eritrea and
Afghanistan
from last
this year so far.
Right.
Sudan is quite up there.
Yeah, would you like to go back there at the moment? Like
But why have you had to travel through mainland Europe? Why have you just... When you're in France, why did you have to leave France? France is not war-torn. France is a nuclear power. It's a NATO member. It's a UN founder. What's wrong with France?
Because you can't keep saying that, because it would go back...
Right, look,
Amy, we've got Ireland wanting to designate this country a safe country. Yet Ireland were the ones who told us by treating the Republic of Ireland differently in the EU deal that we'd have installed a hard border which undermined the Good Friday Agreement. Ireland itself wants to undermine the Good Friday Agreement based on their own logic.
Can I just get a straight answer from all of you on this? Would you be OK with tagging asylum seekers?
Well, I'd be more OK with just sending them back. But OK, that's
well, if they're here and they're in a hotel near you, you'd be right.
Yes, of course,
right. Yeah. Right, come on.
Patrick, flights are coming very soon.
Would you tag
And we know that as soon as you enter illegally in this country, you're going to be put on a flight within a matter of weeks, and I think that's going to be great news for the great British public.
All right. You obviously
very politician's answer.
Yeah, I think I know what you really think. You obviously anti-tag, even though we can't find half of them.
Absolutely.
Or more than half of them, actually, conceivably.
Yes, because it's indefinite leave in a travel lodge, or maybe try your own luck. And I think
it's indefinite leave. They have indefinitely left. That's the point, isn't it? We don't know where they are.
You didn't have any chance. No, anti-tag.
Anti-tag. All right, OK. Well, right, there we go. All right.